Okay. Now, is there anybody sitting out there? Get somebody to join. Add a participant.
We're talking about
There's Jim.
I was wondering. I gave you the last, I put the last one in January. There's one for every week.
Click and mute.
Once they figure out what.
See him out there. Did we invite him? I sent him the deal to get on.
It's like Jason.
Jim wants to do it on them all.
He does?
Yeah,
Jim?
we adopted all of
I
Yes,
see you got the karaoke.
yeah, we're gonna do a thing.
Good
Singing.
What you gotta do? Tequila?
Yeah.
Two words.
Oh,
them.
yeah. Just one word, tequila.
We gotta do it at the end too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Hey, don't shortchange
That's
me.
my kind of karaoke. A two word song.
Yeah.
He can remember all them words.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same words once.
Yeah, well, this is true.
Oh, Jim. He's not there.
I'm gonna have to learn to do this.
Oh, never mind.
No, we just need to stop it. It gives me,
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, we're trying to get you tied in. Are you having any issues on your end?
there we go. Joined.
Jim's saying that the computer's telling him that we will let him in. I think.
Saying what?
He said, we will let you in soon, was what Mac was saying.
Okay.
The meeting host will let you in soon.
It's Amy. We don't want to. Oh, that's, yeah, admit. Amy, that's his wife. Oh, okay. Now.
We
go
can't
to the
see you
Google.
though.
Go over here.
He can see us in there.
Okay. Go live.
Not much to look at.
Thanks.
Oh, that was bad. And you was getting on to me.
Later.
Need some technical help.
That,
This is, he's
Yeah.
a tech guy. I do know that much about him. I haven't met you yet, but I do.
There. Now,
we can't see now.
you can't see me?
Can't see anything.
Oh my gosh, that's unfortunate. You're missing all this. It looks so good.
There we are.
Tell the mayor I've hung up.
No, we hear you. Okay.
Yeah, and I can see you had some time to relieve yourself and all that. All the work of last 2 weeks. You just really had a good time. Anyway, we'll go ahead and get going.
I've heard that. I did.
Hey,
Okay,
Chris. No, it's okay. I wasn't in my way.
it's 7:02 p.m. We're gonna call this meeting to order. If everyone would stand for the invocation of pledge of allegiance, please.
Our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here today. We're grateful to be representatives of the city. Help us open our minds and our hearts to the needs of the community. Help us that we may be able to go over the agenda and understand its purpose, understand the things that are presented before us, and that we may look at these things and do things that will benefit our citizens. Father, we're thankful for all that bless us with. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, is there any announcements? Anyone have any announcements tonight?
I have one.
What's that?
We weren't here at the January meeting, but I just wanna, I know kind of a day late, but a few days late. I just wanna say thank you to everyone that helped with Christmas in the park. And we had even though that was a busy day in our area, we still had a really good turnout.
Really?
And also the ones that came out and helped us decorate and do things out there. Thank you very much. And I also want to say thank you to Mike and our city crews for the outstanding job you did on our playground. It looks amazing, and all the feedback that we've gotten back on that has been absolutely positive. The parents, the kids are loving it. So thank you so much for the wonderful job you did on that.
Thank you.
You guys did a great job.
There's been more to come too. Good, good. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Ben, shall I have that picture there?
Yes.
I got 3 more just like it. As soon as I get them
Awesome.
cleaned.
And they're using.
As soon as I get them cleaned up, I'll bring them in.
All right.
Any other announcements?
Farmers market, we're not having one in February, but we should start them again in March.
And that was no February, but we're starting again in March. Got it.
I've got one, unless anybody else has noticed, but our water in the city is fantastic. We are making some really, really, really good water. And I don't know if I'm just weird, but I notice it when I wash my hands, I take a shower, I can tell you when our water is up here. And right now we got some Remo water.
It smells so clean.
Our water is outstanding.
We really can't thank the public works enough and what Michael's done for the department. He's done a lot.
I just want to bring up that we do have Easter coming up, so let's don't forget to pick up Easter eggs and bring them up to City Hall.
Okay.
I don't know what the date is. I assume the committees will put out a date for us.
Any citizens input related to the agenda? Any citizens input related to any of the agenda items? No one? I will start the consent agenda, and then after that, I want to change something up. For the consent agenda items, it's the approval of the city council minutes from November the 22nd and January 11th of 2022. Actually, that's November 21 and January 22. Approved bills paid and those to be paid for January 2022. Approval of the financial reports for January, court report for January, police department report for January, public works order completed and outstanding for January, public works report for January, the permit report had none at this time, code enforcement report none at this time. Those numbers will be changing in the next month, I would imagine, or two. We don't have any EDC minutes nor keep talking you beautiful minutes. The planning and zoning is at none. Also we have the accept resignations from the planning and zoning meeting board members Charles Calkins, Jared Calkins, Teresa Snyder, and Tommy Shoemake. And also the last one is the updated City of West Waukene Fire Prevention Code or Code of Ordinances by Chris.
No updates on that this month either. You will have some starting to come up pretty quick.
What is there something we're missing that we're not?
No, we're just getting all the paperwork and everything in order.
Right. Policies?
Yep.
Are those is Hunt County up here for that?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Can I make a comment on item number M?
Yes, please do.
I would like to thank all those board members from the Planning and Zoning Committee. I'd like to thank them for their work and that they've done for the city. Many of them, as you know, those are volunteer jobs, and many of them worked for many years on that committee. And I just want to thank you and tell them that we are very appreciative of what they did.
I couldn't have said it better myself. They did do a good job. They were dedicated to what they were doing. They were trying to make a difference in the city. they were doing so. I hate to lose them, but I understand things move on, and we'll somehow recover from all this. We'll be all right. But I do want to give another thanks to Chuck and Jared, and Tommy, and Teresa. I just want to reach out to them. Anyway, the chair would entertain a motion on the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to accept these consent agendas, item A through N.
I second it.
Robin first, Cam second, all in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer,
Cambridge.
Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous. As we move into new business, what I'd like to do, I want to start off with 7A, is discuss and take action on presentation from People's Telephone Communications Fiber Internet with Jason Slagle. But I would like to, if y'all don't have a problem with it, I'd like for you to go on to the next page, which would be item C. And I would like, for time's sake, because I don't want to see one like Lawrence is out here making that drive from Allen. Don't you live in Allen? Oh, Keller, that's even further. So in the interest of getting him out of here, so he doesn't have to go through the whole meeting, I'd like to put him as soon as Jason gives his presentation. I would like for Lawrence to be given the opportunity to speak after that, move it up, and just moving from
C to B.
yeah, C to B. Everybody all right with that? Does that work for you? Okay. I forgot you. Keller, yeah. All right, Jason, you're up, buddy. Did you figure out how to hook it up?
I believe so. Let's see if this comes up now. Let me turn off. Turn it off.
The remote's probably right there.
It's right here. Let's turn it back on. Right.
He's got it. You went old school.
Yeah.
I'm glad he knows how.
We need to keep him around.
Maybe the third or fourth job.
Hey, this one. Okay.
Now, let me just start off, introduce myself. So Jason Slagle, I'm the Chief Business Development Officer for People's Telephone and Communications. We're based out of Quitman, Texas, and we have an office in Roy City. So if you're familiar with us, you know, we've been around for 70 years, really addressing the rural needs of building internet telephony services out to the potentially to 17 counties that we cover today. So, you know, primarily in the Northeast area of Texas, but really today, the reason why I'm here is to just talk to you about, we have an opportunity to bring fiber internet services out from Quinlan all the way through Western Pewaukee. And so just really seeking y'all's feedback and support in this grant application. So just kind of talk through what we're looking at here. So again, y'all can see that all right. So again, people's, you know, we started 70 years ago. This is a picture, high level, where we exist today. So all these red lines on the map are where our fiber is in the ground. It doesn't show our copper facilities, but this is, you know, fiber services in the ground where we're bringing services to businesses and our residential customers across those counties. Today, when we look at Pewaukee, this is really the coverage map that we have. So you see our fiber coming up 34. We come down 276. We come into 276 a little bit in Quinlan. But much of the area, as y'all probably know and understand, is very underserved in this area. So we do have some fixed wireless options out there, and that's what these blue shading represent. You can see that too. Yeah. So you know, that's a fixed wireless offer, which is, you know, it's a lower tier, lower speed offer, but it allows us to cover, you know, a big area without having those facilities in the ground. What we're looking at right now is that USDA, part of the infrastructure bill that came out, they've been allotted several different funding mechanisms to work with the local utilities, local telephone companies to essentially build broadband services out to the underserved communities. One of the interesting things for this area, and one of the reasons why we chose Quinlan and Pewaukee, is that through USDA's model here, this is through their data, their census data, they show this model to be socially vulnerable. So because of that classification, it's allowed us to go after this grant that's up to $25 million fully 100% funded. We just have to front it on the front side. So there's no commitment from the cities or the counties under these grant terms. But it does allow us to go after a allotment of money that is really selective, where other communities probably are not going to have this opportunity. Because you can see, going into Roy City, even going out East Texas, it's just this little swath going straight up to Greenville. So we're in a prime area to really, what we're looking to build out is, if you look at this map here, so this is our proposed design. So we've worked up a full engineered design here that we'll be submitting as part of this grant. And every one of these lines that you see on this map would be building fiber to that resident's home or to the business.
The green lines or the blue?
Every color, yellow. The
Yellow.
different colors just indicate different fiber sizes that we'll require.
Okay.
So we'll have main line, feeder lines, things of that nature coming off of it. But essentially, we'd build down 276, hit our main feeder lines into our facilities, and then we'd spur off and build into essentially covering every house and every business that you have out there today. And so, like I said, the reason why I wanted to come here and talk to you is just to inform you of like where we're at in this process. It is a grant, so we are competing against other entities out there, other areas in the US. We feel we have a really strong case here because they awarded on a point system. So you get all these points for different categories that you fulfill. So like for us being a co-op, we get points for that. For having competitive bidding process, we get points for that. Socially vulnerable, we get points for that. So we essentially have hit every checkbox except for one, and that's just because we're not a FAR level 4 community out here. But like I said, from a high level, that's where we stand right now. We'll be submitting in 2 weeks, but I certainly didn't want to submit any applications without, the city knowing that, we're looking at doing this and to have, input from.
Are you talking about running fiber optics in the ground or?
Yes, in the ground. So
That's gonna be tough on some of these roads that we've got. Their right of way is not that big, is it, Michael?
No,
I
I
mean,
mean, definitely it's something we have to partner together.
yeah, and that's normally what we do. I mean, this is not our first time to certainly deploy fiber with the cities and work with the cities. Same thing we do with Quinlan, work with the city entities, the county, depending where we're at to get the right of ways. If there's areas where we have to do aerial, that's our last. We try not to go aerial.
what cities around here are you in place?
So Roy City, Cattle Mills, Josephine. We go up to Rockwall, and then going out east. Of course, we have everything out to Paris to Tyler, essentially. So if you look back take you back here from a high level, looking at this map, you can see, of course, this is just showing mainline fiber, but you can see where Quinlan, we're going up to, Cattle Mills. We have some really big developments in the Cattle Mill, Josephine area, 6,000 plus homes that we're building in these communities. And then through Greenville, all the way up to Bonham, like I said, Paris down to Mount Pleasant, all the way south to Tyler and Athens. Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Even better.
Pardon the interruption.
You want to use that one, make that one your audience one. We can see it.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, that's better.
Better.
So you can look, and I'll take it to this so that everyone in the audience there can kind of see the proposed landscape.
How much area does it require for the cable to run through? Is it like just a couple of feet for?
Right, well, it's just in the right of way, so it's just gonna be, our cables, you're talking nothing bigger than that. It's gonna be in conduit.
And they usually only lay about 2 to 3 feet, so.
Right, and it's all gonna be, it'll be bored unless it's be open trenched. Most of the areas, depending on the area, is really what it comes down to.
So how long until this becomes reality?
So, it's done in phases, because we'll have to sign off. It has to be inspected. There's a whole process dealing with, of course, we're dealing with the government on this. And so we'll close out in phases on it. But most likely we'd hit the main line, get all our main feeder lines in, and then we'd start, in phases, open up blocks. But you're probably looking at 100%. Maybe it's a 3-year. The biggest challenge we have, as y'all probably seen everywhere else, is just materials.
Yeah.
Fiber cable right now is 70 weeks out. So anything all of our projects are, we're ordering 70 weeks in advance.
7 weeks.
70 weeks. So, of course, we carry a lot of inventory and we replace it as it go, but this is a pretty substantial build out here, right? Because there's a lot of, I think we were at, this whole thing was a little over 6,000 homes passed or businesses homes passed in this. I believe that's, do you have the numbers? Yeah. I think it was somewhere around,
It's pretty close.
it was somewhere right around there, if I recall right. But yeah, you're probably looking at, I mean, the most time that we could take is 5 years per the grant. But, since we're doing, it'd be, people's doing the work and our contractors and, we're all local. So
Yeah.
you're not dealing with someone out of state or, our headquarters is in equipment, so right down the road.
Okay.
If you don't get it all done with that grant money, y'all put the rest of the bill.
Yeah, I mean, we have designed it, we've engineered this, so with money for inflation for a buffer there, so we're pretty well down on that dollar amount. It's about a $24 million bill right there to do that.
Right, and now, this is kind of like a PID, sort of like a PID project in a sense. They have to foot the bill up front.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So they don't get their money back until they've completed the project.
Right.
Yeah.
Complete project or phases?
So it's really depending on the grant terms. This will be able to close out in phases. And most of them, so this is Reconnect Free. USDA's Reconnect Free program. We've participated in Reconnect One. So we built out Bob Sandlin with Reconnect One program around that area. And so this is the third generation of it. And they've actually just announced another fourth one coming out. So again, it is a competitive bid process. We're no guarantees that we're going to, get the funding for it. We think we're well positioned, but if we don't get the funding for it, then we're going to apply again for Reconnect 4, which has already been announced. So they're thinking middle of the year for announcements, although we've seen it where they've told us a date and then they pushed it back 3 months, 4 months. So, but we're speculating that middle of the year that we should get notice on that. And then we would start once awarded 30 days after.
What kind of a time frame are you looking for us to have a response by? Or you're not looking for it now?
Well, the Reconnect 3 is due, we will be submitting the application the end of next week. February 22nd is the deadline. So that's the problem with these grants. They come out and they give you, 60 days to get everything together and get submittals done. We do have the state senator, Bob Hall, backing for this project as well. So he's reviewed it and has given his letter of recommendation to us for it. So we're hopeful that we can move forward. And like I said, I'm hopeful that I can get, support from the city here to, support a project like this for the residents and the businesses in the area.
Guys, what do y'all think? Is there any questions?
I have a question for the council. I mean, does anybody have reservations?
No,
I mean,
I don't, other than, are y'all gonna expect some kind of an exclusive or anything
No.
from the city?
No, you have Frontier out here today. If they wanted to do a project, they can do a project, or if another cable provider wants to come in, we're open to competition. There's no, this is our facilities, but they want to come and build over us. We're going to build over Frontier out here. So
if you get this going, you're gonna put fiber optic in front of every house in our city.
yes, well, everyone that orders it will have, if they're on one of these engineered lines here, they will have the ability to have that service. So we won't run a drop. We will not install a drop to every house until the order comes in for that house.
Right.
But we'll have,
It's gonna be available.
but at the street side, it will be available. Yes.
Have you had other towns commit to you already?
Quinlan has.
Yeah, Quinlan's been.
Oh, they've been out there.
So the second thing.
So Quinlan's in the same boat as you all, right? They have the same service, the same underserved, but we have the support from the EDC, the mayor, the council and mayor, and then worked with them with the state senator. So they're in the same program as.
Are y'all giving it to the city?
Are we giving? No, we have not signed any kind of No, that'd be really a conflict of interest and we're not, I mean, we certainly help serve the cities, but.
No, I'm talking about for like
Like a municipality building, I think is what he's talking about.
Like, have we given service for free? We have not given service for free. I mean,
Okay, Bill may be asking for that, I think, I'm sorry. Yeah, Bill's trying to ask.
for city plan. I just
I mean, I think I understand where Bill's coming from, because, you know, right now we've got some people that are using our towers to transfer
Exactly.
stuff.
Right.
So this is a little bit different, and, you know, just so I make sure I heard you correctly, there's really nothing required of the city. The
No.
city's not, there's nothing that the city's gonna be tied to. All that you're wanting to do is make sure that the city is not gonna freak out if we see you guys come in here, if you were to apply for this grant.
That's 100%.
Right, and to me, I don't see how the city would freak out, because this brings growth.
This moves for what we're already
Right,
trying
this
to do.
brings growth to our city, the possibility of
Yeah.
growth. So, I mean, I'm gonna ask the council to, I mean, as far as I'm saying, I think this would be great for our city. I don't know what you guys think, but that's.
Bring a natural gas line with it.
So I think the biggest impacts we see with the city is just, you know, the locates, because we have to work with the city to get,
Right.
you know, where's the water lines
Right.
and things, you know.
And that's
things-
crucial here, because this street may be different than the next
Yeah.
street, the way this thing is
But,
laid out.
I mean, through the process, everything gets staked out, everything has to be located first, so, you know, nothing can get done until locates are done, so.
You got a problem with any of that?
Well, the one thing that we have to consider is we have some lines that we're gonna have to update. So it's gonna depend on where they lay their lines, you know, so let's say I've got water and sewer in the same area. You know, if they're right in the middle, that could create a problem when I go to replace or upgrade that line. So
Yeah.
if they're higher up on the easement, that helps me.
And that's where we would work with you then,
Right.
just determine, or you may say, hey, it's better, we put it on the south side of the road, you may want to be on the north side.
Right.
And that's all flexible within, once we get, you know, once we start the staking
So
process.
you don't see a problem with.
You know,
Not at all. To
Works.
me, it seems like.
I'm sorry?
you opened it.
Either or, so depending on what's the most, you know, if we have to bore it, we bore it, if we can open trench, we'll open trench.
And how deep do you have to be?
So normally, we'll just follow, if there's any city guidelines for that, we'll follow the city guidelines, but you know, you're typical 3 or 4 foot.
That was pretty deep.
I didn't know if you'd rather be under our utilities, but we don't bother nothing.
You know, we've gone to some cities where they said you need to be 12 feet, and we're like, okay, that's not gonna work. So, So, you know, it's just.
Most everything for me is 5 foot and under. So
So,
if
okay.
they're in that top 3 feet,
Yeah, so we can be 2 to 3. It's really just what worked best for the area.
How receptive in that? What's the most recent project you got going? Is it Quinlan? You ain't got going on. Quinlan.
No, Quinlan would be part of this. We serve Quinlan today, so we serve the city of, and some businesses down there with the fiber services today, but this would, Quinlan's underserved, just like out here in.
I'm just curious as to what, you know, citizens, or how they're gonna react. I mean, it's a positive thing, but, you know, you start going and digging yards up or driveways and everything else, that nice pine has got.
There's very little of this cable is dug with an open cut. Most of this is bored.
Yep.
Those
Yes,
boring
they got-
machines. You're not gonna see a lot of open cut
Yeah,
installations.
so we'll bore the conduit in and then pull the fiber through it. So most cases it's bored area. When we process to bore,
Okay.
pretty much everything. Because when we get in cities, we can't open trench. I mean, if we had a big field out there that we need to cut.
Yeah,
then
no
we can-
brainer. Yeah.
We can, but
Okay.
most of all of our projects are bored. So.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Just a question. Well, first question was answered. It doesn't really cost the city anything, which is great. So, but the second question, as you roll through your phases, do you have like a type of service level timeline in which these phases will be completed, or are you just gonna do it randomly?
No,
So
it's-
you like, yeah, phase 1 started, then you got phase 99 started over here, but phase 1 ain't still done, and you got a big pile of rocks in front of someone's yard, or
Well,
is there a
so-
type of sale?
yeah,
Is
so
there
there,
like a service level agreement you do with the cities?
we haven't done an SLA with the city, but we will have a definite project schedule of how these, of what's gonna happen first. So we'll go into things like I said, our main lines will go in first, and then feeders will come off that. But normally what we'll do is we'll take you take a session, this is phase 1, so we're gonna build out phase 1, close it out, make sure it's certified, and then we move to the next session, phase 2. And we're not gonna just do some work here, and jump all over the place. It's gonna be a, highly structured, or I should say choreographed event that.
Would you
goes on.
focus up on 276 first, which is the main road?
Right, so
where all our businesses are.
Right, so we have to bring in, so right here, our fiber comes up 34.
Yeah.
So we're gonna, and we come down, we hit some of these main businesses, we serve them today. But then we extend it all the way down to here, and then we start dropping our bigger feeder lines. So like these blue lines here, this purple line on the 751. And then from there, we go into the more of the residential
Okay.
areas.
I do have one more question. Are you gonna sleeve the fiber or just lay it? Because there's a lot of areas in our town where you can just trench.
Mhm.
So would it be sleeved or just the cable?
No, it's, unless there's some reason why we can't put in conduit, it's gonna be in conduit.
That's perfect, because the neighboring city, they had a water leak and, well, they pulled up some fiber and that was an $86,000 bill.
Oh,
So I don't want that kind of bill
Right.
in the future.
Yeah, I think y'all's is all in conduit, so it can
is.
be easier.
And we'll have the, fiber markers will be out there. Anytime you do work, of course, it's gonna be located. We have locating companies that work for us and they'll locate it. So it's definitely, we don't try to cut any corners on it because it just comes back and bite us later.
Yeah.
How many phases do you have?
It's undetermined right now, how many phases. It's really gonna be dependent on USDA and how they want to close it out. So they haven't defined that yet. I mean, they could come back and say, hey, we want the whole thing closed out one pass, or they'll let us break it up into different phases, because everything has to be performance test. And that's the other thing, is that going forward, because this is part of the grant, is that the service we have to provide is that we have to, at minimum, provide 100 megs down, 100 megs up. So it has to be 100 meg symmetrical service, and it has to be tested at that, at, essentially 100% of any place in here has to be able to achieve those rates. Now on a service level, you'll be able to go up to, actually, we're gonna set this up so that you could go up to 10 gig if you wanted to at a business or residence, but your typical play will be up to, resident 1 gig service. But your businesses or residents, you may have some residents that come a couple years from now and say they want 5 gig service. We'll be able to support.
So
that.
you're just talking internet.
And just, internet and, well, right now it's just internet. You can do hosted phone. There's not gonna be any copper facilities. We will have the ability to over the fiber to essentially bring out a analog line off the ONT there. So you have a device on the side of the house or inside your house. Well, these will all be inside the house. And from there, you can have a phone line come off of that.
What kind of price packages do you have for the consumer?
So we're gonna have I should have put that in here. Our lowest, so we're putting together a low price consumer model, which is gonna be, I think we 39, 34.95 for 300 meg. 300 meg, 34.95. I believe that's what we're.
How much?
300 meg. Yeah. I can send you the pricing of it. We haven't finalized all of it, but.
I wouldn't care how big of a drink.
If you look at your typical.
Yeah.
You're talking, that's a lot faster than we have right
Well, the other thing is that it will qualify for the government assistance program, the old BBB program. So that reimburses $30. So you're probably looking at if a resident does fit that model, they may be paying $5 a month, something around that for.
I'll go ahead and take a 10 gig.
Well, the other side of that is too, with us having new people coming into our area with these new buildings that are going on across the street, we're going to need more of this to try to get more talented people into our area.
And that's
I think what we got now could handle it.
Well, and that's the problem today, is that it is only, for your most part, fixed wireless or your DSL. Your DSLs, you're lucky to get 6 meg out of it. Fixed wireless, there's most of the players out here are only 25 meg. There are some, we do offer a 50 meg package, but you're paying 3 times, 4 times as much as what our low entry package will be once we get this deployed. So. Again, I don't want to get too far ahead because we still have to get, we have to.
You've
get
been
awarded,
working
but-
in Quinlan for a while, more than 3 years already.
What's that? So
I've seen y'all in Quinlan.
we do fixed wireless in Quinlan, and we have fiber that goes, we serve a lot of this, we serve the city there with our fiber today, so. We're on a tower here.
But I mean, y'all been working on this for many years already.
Well, our fiber's been in the ground for many years. We just we haven't done an expansion in this area yet. Right.
Is there anything the city can do to help you get this grant?
A letter of recommendation or just stating that the community is underserved and that having facilities like this or having broadband like this will help the growth of the city and help the economic impact of the
I heard you
city.
say that Quinlan's EDC also supported you. A
Yes.
letter from them also. helped
Yes.
as well?
Yes, definitely. As many letters as we can get. Like I said, we reached out to them, worked with them, and then, like I said, got the senator on board as well. So the more the better.
What do we need to, you want a motion from us?
So here's your letter.
To approve this?
We need it now.
I need fiber.
I make a motion that we move forward with giving a letter of recommendation.
I second that motion.
Okay, so, motion to provide,
Several letters.
provide support letters. Okay,
And we can all sign them.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at individual letters.
It needs to come from the city.
What's that?
It needs to come from the city. It needs to be the city making that recommendation.
Well, that's what they were talking about. They were just talking about from the city as a council member. Can a council member have it on city letterhead for a?
Okay, well, yeah, if you want to do it like that, but you
Yeah.
can do just one from the city of West Walkeny. Say the council has resolved to support this project and let the mayor sign it.
Okay.
That's what we asked. That's.
We never know who to
You make
blame.
things too.
Okay. All right. Sounds good to me. Moving on. Of course, I didn't get a motion. We got a motion in a second. All in favor, I'm sorry.
Kevin Featherston.
Leon, I,
Pam Reed.
Chris Burkett.
It is unanimous.
No, I appreciate it. If you want, I can send you the senator's letter if you just want like a template or one from Quinlan.
Did he get, I don't know if I got this.
Send a copy of that in with our letter.
Yeah, you can send it.
No, it'll be part of your letters as well.
You can send that to Annette.
Well, you have mine.
Yes.
Yeah, just send that to them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lawrence, buddy, you're up. Folks, we've moved from item E to item B, which is a discussion and or take action on code violations at the Wagon Wheel Motel. That's gonna be presented by Chief John Alderson as well as Lawrence. Crow, I should know that. Lawrence Crow, which is a representative of Bureau Veritas, that we're now hooked up with to do inspections, permits. They do all kinds of things, but they're really knowledgeable in municipality government. So I'm gonna turn it over to John and Lawrence.
Before we get started with that, I want to introduce my newest officer.
Yes, please do. Come on in, Jacob.
This is Jacob Wells. He comes to us from Wolfhorn Police Department. He's got 30 years experience. They'll work you out.
Yeah, you'll be seeing a lot of it around
I'm glad to have you, sir.
here. Yeah, we're really glad to have you.
Nice to meet everybody.
If we can do, listen, if the council can do anything for you, but John can't, let me know. No, you got a good guy here, good guy, so I think you'll enjoy it.
All right.
Thank you, Jason.
Well, as y'all know, there's been quite a few calls and stuff that we went to on the Wagon Wheel Motel. We did some research into it and went through Hunt County and over the last close to 10 years, there's been 187 calls at the Wagon Wheel Motel. So,
Last how long?
almost 10 years.
Oh, 10. Oh,
There's been 187 calls, and that's pretty close to almost all the calls in the city.
Now, when you say calls, are you including medical calls, fire
Yeah,
calls?
that's all kind of.
It's all of them,
Everything that's
combined.
dispatched directly.
Okay, okay. All right.
So, but, so, and on some of the calls, we've noticed with fire department and paramedics and myself going in, the conditions of the rooms and the stuff that was going on in the room. So we had Veritas come and do a safety inspection on it. And he wants to explain what his safety inspection brought to us. All the safety violations and the code violations in there is all from plumbing, electric. They have no, I don't think any of the sinks have a P-trap. So the sewer gases are coming back up in. A lot of people have the rooms there are complaining of the sewer smell. None of the rooms we went into.
So that they're not vented, that has nothing to do with the beach.
Well, yeah, it does the P-trap.
Yeah, P-trap's purpose.
Allows the gas to
Allows the
come
gas to
back
go.
into the sink.
P-trap purpose is it's shaped like a P and it holds water at the bottom. and it keeps
Yeah,
the
that's right,
gases
yeah,
from
okay.
coming back into it.
I was thinking more of a vent for like you would
Well, that would be on the back of the toilet.
Yeah,
Toilets
yeah.
have the vent
That's
coming up. and the Toilets do have the shape of a toilet.
Yeah,
P2,
yeah.
which holds it. And a motel is required to have smoke detectors. We found not a functioning one smoke detector in any of the rooms that we went into. So. And with all the code violations and all the violations with the electric and all, the property has not been maintained. And what we come to the council for is to try to get it deemed as a nuisance property because of all of the calls and all of the code violations. And see if we can get it deemed as a nuisance property and then move forward from there with our investigation.
How long ago was it you sent that certified letter to them?
We sent that on January 26th.
January 26th, so we still got 2 or 3 more weeks.
we gave them 30 business days.
Yeah, 30 business days.
So the beginning of March.
Okay.
So we actually did the inspection on December 30th. So from that inspection, and I did on the front door and the side doors posted a large sign that says danger unhabitable for human occupancy.
Yeah.
So what we're asking for is to get I gave y'all all the packets, a copy of everything that we got on. And just see if we can get it deemed as a nuisance project.
I make a motion, we classify it as a nuisance.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Chris, Kevin, all in favor?
Kevin Featherston.
Leon Meyer,
Cameron, Robin Myers.
Christopher Keck.
Yeah.
Fall
This
back
is
in your
something
court,
we've
sir.
been needing for a long time. John, or those out in YouTube land that don't know John, John's a really great guy. He started his career here 30 years ago and he's back with us. We just gave him the task, hey, check into the wagon wheel. And he's really impressed the council as a whole in getting this far down the road. We had so many people, December the 30th, we had probably 20 people from Hunt County, the fire marshal, health inspector, SPCA, Lawrence, which was the key factor in all this. It will really fill everybody in, but this is something that we had to keep under wraps until we got it through. And so this is all new to people out here on YouTube, watching this on YouTube. So we didn't publicize it for a reason. So we just wanted to make sure
It's
it's
an
on
ongoing
that.
investigation.
So
That way.
just to clarify, the investigation was done on the 20th, not the 30th, right?
It was the 20th. That's right, it was the 20th.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it was the day right before Christmas.
That was the letter, the day I got the letter from.
And there are 30 business days. They signed the green card on the 28th of January, so they're 30 business days except March 10th.
And just to clarify, we're giving them the 30 days to get it up to code.
And then 30 days ends March 10th.
Or
correct?
I mean, if they're doing it and they contact us, we can extend that, but that's more our discretion.
But according to the safety and the health hazards of the sewer gases coming back in, they cannot be occupied at this time.
That's what I was fixing to ask next, because it is
Well, we're
a,
gonna have to give a certain time, or we're gonna have to shut all the utilities off to it, water utilities and sewer utilities. So give them time to fix this, because they can't have it occupied there.
so we're not
Why
really,
Be made.
Why it's being worked on and why the sewer gas, because, I mean, it's probably making people sick over there, they don't,
Don't know it.
yeah.
so,
So there are people standing.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, there's still people in there. You wanna add to it? 'Cause
Well,
you-
let
you
me
can't
just,
address this.
let me paint a little bit of a picture for you, just because this won't be the only time that you'll need to deal with something like this. A hotel room is different, and an apartment room are different than almost anything else in the code. Because, you basically have somebody that's not familiar with the property that's staying in that room. And you think about impressions that you want to have of your municipality as people come in. Somebody on the internet that goes and tries to find a hotel room, you don't have 40 hotels around here. So they're going to pick one or two or three that you have. They're going to reserve a room, they're going to go there, they're going to have a bad experience. But the bad experience is less my concern than the danger. We didn't get in every unit. We got in maybe 25–30% of the units, but not one smoke detector was working, not one. So effectively, when you talk about a hotel room, if this were a hotel room, that wall, that wall, that wall, and that wall, and that door, and that ceiling would all have to have a 1 hour rating. Many holes in the walls in that hotel. So that completely defeats what we call a firewall. So in other words, if there was a fire in unit 102, unit 103 and 202 and 101 are all vulnerable all at once. Now that happens at 4 o'clock in the morning, all those people are asleep. Not one smoke detector was working. So nobody's going to wake up unless somebody comes beating on their door. So the hazards and the potential for you to have to deal with a news event or something like that in the event that one person had a cooking fire, something like that. I mean, you got one guy down there that's painting right outside of his door, with highly flammable paint, so, you have the hazards are there. There were electrical hazards, plumbing hazards, all of those things. But I just want to be sure that we stress the fire hazard is really the component of all of this. And that's the kind of a building that if it were to catch fire, would more than likely burn completely down instead of you being able to get to it. And what should happen is if you have a fire in unit 102, it should be contained for the most part to that unit by the time the fire department gets there and puts the fire out, if everything else is working. But the fact of the matter is the people don't know. And just a little follow-up to kind of back up what Chief is trying to accomplish here. I'm getting calls from both the plumbing contractor and the electrical contractor that he's trying to hire to do the work. Because y'all have definitely woke him up, and everybody's seeing those placards. That puts you all on notice as saying, we know this place is dangerous. So everybody who comes to rent a room sees that placard, they're going to get back in their car and go somewhere else until it's safe. So y'all have done, a good job of notifying people. But, for anybody that slips through that crack, there's a danger there. Yes, sir.
No, go ahead.
But I guess my point is what I've asked them to do so that you all can get to where you want to be is to provide you from a licensed electrician, just to give you one example, pay them to go in and walk every unit in the building. We didn't walk every unit. We gave them a list of what we saw. every unit in the building, every corridor, the owner's space, all of that, and the outside. And walk every unit and identify what we call a scope of work. Now, that's a licensed electrician that's going to provide to you a scope of work that you then can turn around and put them on notice to say that I want all of this work done. What's happening is he's trying to get people to come in there and do a little bit here and a little bit there so that when we go by, I think you said smoke detectors have been put in, some of them.
And somebody said they've started putting.
They have, they
So-
told us to help.
So they're trying to put smoke detectors in. Those smoke detectors have to be hardwired and they have to be battery backups, have battery backup. And all that'll have to be re-inspected, but somebody's going and doing all that work without a permit. As I understand it, they still haven't pulled a permit. And we haven't inspected any of that. So even if everything is done, we still don't have the knowledge that it was done right because it's covered up in the walls. So what we tried to get them to do is recognize that we need a licensed, trained electrician to go. Somebody, be a local electrician, be anybody, but somebody to identify every hazard that's there so that y'all know what the scope of the work is. And then you can see the size of it and get them to make every repair. Because the worst thing we can do is let them go fix the 15 units that we looked at.
Did you talk to, you said you spoke with the electrical contractor?
There's an electrical contractor out of Grand Prairie that wants to do the work and he's trying to do the work, but I spent an hour on the phone with him just explaining exactly what I'm telling you all. And like I told him, I said, we're not going to go over there. And I'm suggesting that you be careful before you go over there and the guy's going to pay you $50 to go over there and fix 2 electrical outlets in 2 rooms. So because that's not going to get him off the hook.
No.
But we want the whole property fixed. So, and I offered, I said, I will drive down there, sit down with you and the owner of the property and explain that to him, just like I'm doing it here, if that helps. He says, I want the work. I'm going to explain it to him, but he's got to do it that way if I'm going to do the work. So, but we haven't made any progress. You don't have any permits. So as far as I'm concerned, you still have a hazard. And, chief and every one of us that walked through and did that inspection, before we're going to be comfortable with that being an occupied hotel, we're going to want to know that they've gone through the process we've asked them to go through. And you as a municipality need to know that so that when people come and that can be made into, there's no problem with the foundation. There's a lot right about the hotel, but there's a lot wrong too. And we've got to get it fixed so that it's a safe place to live. And every place needs to do that. Because like I said, 4 o'clock in the morning, there's a fire, the smoke detectors don't work. The people that all they did is rent a room that are asleep next door are going to die of smoke inhalation, or they're going to die potentially.
And that's the purpose for the smoke alarms in every room.
Yeah.
So that they're Dixie linked. So if room number 101 catches fire, it Dixie links over to all the surrounding rooms.
No, it doesn't. No, sir. If you have a fire alarm system, it does.
Oh.
But a smoke detector is going to notify the people in that unit.
Okay.
They don't have to be electrically interlocked with each other?
It's in a house, for instance,
Okay.
or in an apartment
So
unit
not-
where you have multiple
Not in
rooms.
there, okay.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
But in this case, you have a single unit.
Oh.
Now, if you brought it up to the current code, you would have what's called a fire alarm system,
Yeah.
which is interlocked. And as soon as one alarm goes off, they're all going.
Gotcha.
So, John, you had started talking, so basically it is an unsafe place, but we're still gonna give them 30 business days.
We did give them, we sent them a letter, give them 30 business days. But
They're just following the legal protocol.
Yeah.
I think what you have to do is I think the thing that you've done to help yourself right now is you've put a notice on the building and you've notified them in writing and they've signed the certified letter that they have been told they have an unsafe structure there. So you've done, I think, all you can legally do. You still have to give them due process. And I would highly recommend that you engage your attorney and just say, okay, what is the process before we vacate the building or before we demolish the building or anything like that? You want to be sure that you followed all the proper protocol, because you've got to notify you know, the owner of the building, the bank, and everybody, anybody else who has an interest in the building, they've all got to be notified. So,
I have a question.
yes, ma'am.
I know you're really focusing on the electrical issues in the building.
Yes, ma'am.
Where, did you notice like any leaks or anything because of plumbing issues? Maybe there was mold in the building that needed to be abated or what have you. Would that be an issue with a hotel?
It certainly can be an issue. What this hotel has had a tendency to do is rob from unit 103 to go fix unit 107. So there may be a missing toilet in one unit so that they can fix the toilet in 107. And I'm just throwing a hypothetical unit number out there. And they may have taken the mirrors off the wall and the light fixture off the wall to go fix unit 108. You know, so they're maintaining it with what's left over with no real idea that they're going to ever lease every building. But
Cannibalizing.
right. The ideal way to do it, if you can get some cooperation from them, is to take one end of the building and have like 2 units in between that have the firewalls intact, and say unit 102, 3, 4, and the units above, repair all of that, then take everybody and move them in there, and then go fix the other side. But that way you have 2 layers of fire protection in between in the event that there was a fire, and the only units that would be occupied would be the ones that would be have already been approved by you all and by us. You know, but that gives them a chance not to completely lose all the revenue, but gives you a chance to get them completely to the finish line. Because we can't let them get part of the way there.
We'd have to put some milestones in place or something.
Absolutely.
Tell them there's an expectation of.
I call it a scope and the schedule. What I was describing before with that electrical contractor and the plumbing contractor and mechanical contractor, give them the scope of the work. Now you know, okay, this is a big project. Now he's got to decide, okay, do I want to sell this? Do I want to fix this? Do I want to do whatever? Then you give them a schedule that says these 8 units need to be done by this date. And then you inspect it. And if it is, you approve it. And if it isn't, then you're back to square one again. But now you're building up all the information you need. We just need, and I want to be sure that Bureau Veritas and our people have properly put you on notice and them on notice to let them know that it's just not safe to stay there. It's not sanitary. It isn't, like I said, you have plumbing issues, you have firewall issues, and you have electrical issues. You can reach out and grab a live electric wire from one of the balconies. I mean, you walk down the fence line, there is an open connection about every 30 feet, in a chain link fence, which is metal. So somebody at the far end could, if it's energized, that's what's lighting their sign. So they've got lots of issues there that need to be addressed and as quickly as possible. But I just want to be sure y'all understand they're not cooperating yet. They don't have a permit yet. And we haven't identified the scope of the work yet. So.
Help us understand that, we've deemed it uninhabitable, but how, if a stranger walked up to me tomorrow and said, how can it be uninhabitable? People still be there. I mean, it seems to,
and that's where I want.
Says,
yes, sir.
They got to get out or something.
Well, and I agree with that. And to some degree, the fire marshal and the fire code, you have some authority there, but all I'm saying is they also, even in most situations, we have some rights.
What's that, Jim?
We'll wind up having to file suit. We'll have to get a court order to evacuate that property.
Okay.
In other words, whether they deserve it or not, they've got some rights.
Yeah.
And we understand that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in order to do the repairs, they're gonna have to vacate anyway, correct?
Yes, ma'am. And the thing right now is a good time because I think they're only about 30% occupied right now. I think you all got a lot of their attention. My understanding is some of them moved down the street. But if we go nowhere else, we've got smoke detectors all around. We had none of that.
So
you're making progress.
They went and bought a bunch of smoke detectors and they had a couple of units that the people wouldn't let them in. So we knocked on the door, they at least put a smoke detector on the wall, but it's not hardwired in.
I will tell you, some of the rooms that are occupied, that they actually said, hey, can y'all come in and look at my room?
Yep.
There is one in particular that had a path a little bit wider than I am to walk through. It smelled like urine. The tub, the toilet, it was full of stuff. Like he would have to unload his bathroom to take a shower or go to the bathroom. Or the wall, the ceiling, the entire room.
But, yeah, that's
He's an
important,
upstairs
yeah.
room, so, I mean, it's not as bad. It could be worse. It could be on the bottom, but he is, I mean, it's a
Well,
path.
I think what we do is the chief just gets with Mac and we start figuring out what letters and what paths we have to legally go through, and we'll go at it that way, right? Jim, isn't that what you?
I mean, we keep pressure on from all directions. We keep pressure on from code enforcement. We keep pressure on from all directions. We'll make fixing it or selling it be the cheapest thing they can do. That's the only way we get this done.
But we need to be going down there and asking about permits and asking them, hey, we see y'all been doing work.
Yeah, getting the permits in place is important, and I heard that at least that some people may have inquired about buying the property, but don't let the property change hands. In other words, when that new certificate of occupancy is applied for, do a thorough inspection and make them have it completely up to.
Trust me, you guys will be involved.
Is a seal required, is a seal required between every owner?
Depends on your local ordinance, but yes. When you
No, they
change.
don't have one down there.
Change hands.
You have a
we're
change
gonna
in
require a
ownership, you
CO.
have a different, that new buyer should have the ability for somebody, both he hires and your city representative, to go through there and determine and insist that this is a safe building before they
Okay,
reoccupy it.
okay.
Excuse me, quick question. After the notice is been served to them, is there a time frame when the city might become liable for any type of?
Now, we're actually, the steps that we're taking is to prevent us from being liable. We're putting it all on them. That's what our city attorney's on Zoom right here. That's our city attorney, yeah. So he's gonna go through that legal process, but there's a few steps that we have to make as a city first. The first thing we did was deem it uninhabitable, and there's posters everywhere over there on all the doors, just letting the people there know now. So, and then our city attorney will be getting with it close to the 30-day deadline. Then we'll have to end up probably taking it to district court. Maybe we'll go for a district court judge.
I think you've gotten your motion in second and all
Yeah,
the
we
papers,
did.
right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Lawrence, you know how much we appreciate you. You're really bringing a new ball to the game with us. We really appreciate what you're doing for us.
Well, I want to see your city grow and literally every single time, all of the things you're talking about are gonna make it better.
Yeah.
When people come to that hotel or any property here and it's a good experience, they'll come back. And, I think we can do that, but I love the fact that you're tackling the tough things because it's not fun,
No,
but it is.
it's necessary.
That's why I wanted to paint the picture of, any one of us, anytime I rent a hotel room, I'm trusting that the city has made sure that that's a safe place for me to stay. And that there's some kind of a program in place, because as you can tell, the owners don't always do that.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
Appreciate you coming out.
I got my phone if you need something.
Oh, yeah.
else, give me a call.
That's what speak out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, and I'll get with the rest of you later about that, Lawrence. Okay, so we did that. We're back to 7B. Discuss and or take action on applications for planning and zoning. I've got a Sharon Williams, a Rhett, William Byers, and Bill Creed. I'm sorry, what?
Sharon.
What did I say? Oh.
Just a few letters off.
Just a couple, yeah. This is situation right, folks. We just accepted the resignation of 4 P and Z members. That leaves them with 3 people that can't have a quorum in order to completely staff the P and Z. So what I'm asking for is let's go ahead and appoint one person and then let the P and Z do their process, because I don't want them to think that we're running their show behind them without any of their input. Well, I could appoint them all right now, but that to me wouldn't be fair if I was on the P and Z. Do y'all understand that? I mean, I would want some say in who I'm staffing my committee with. So.
And I also look at these people sitting out in the audience that are willing participants that want to join too, and I'd love to see them come.
Yeah, well,
Exactly, but I get what you're
there's
saying.
plenty of positions available right now. The problem is they can't have a quorum right now. They don't have a quorum.
You don't want to meet them
You don't want-
Yeah, we want to meet. Yeah, we would love to meet. We're gonna, typically the way this works is you put in an application, you would go before the planning and zoning committee. You'd give your spiel, they'd ask you questions, and then it would come to council for council's final approval. But we're backwards this time because we don't have a quorum. You have to have a majority to have a quorum, and we don't have that. So what I'm gonna do tonight is appoint one person, and then you two, the remaining two will go before the P and Z when on their next meeting, and you'll already be approved by the council. So that's what I'm doing. Anybody want to go first, or? Well, I
When is
just,
their next meeting?
I don't know.
It's the first Monday in the month.
No,
No, that's
no.
EDC.
Oh, that's.
That's EDC. Yeah. Thursday.
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 Third or first Thursday?
First Thursday of the month.
Is that what it is? Okay.
No, which will have to be delayed.
Wait, I can tell you.
Okay.
I got a question.
EDC's first one.
Okay, Jim, yep.
It's the
Yes.
first Thursday.
P and Z is
Can
first
we-
Thursday.
Can we do it that way?
You
Can they
mean
be
just-
approved by the council and then go before the P and Z and be already on there? What if
They-
we,
yeah,
the P
I
and Z
mean,
doesn't pick one of them? and they be approved by the council?
Ultimately, the council appoints all these board members. You could appoint all three tonight. It's on the agenda. There's nothing that would prevent that. As a matter of practice, we have always let the P and Z recommend their new members. People that wanted working with them on P and Z. They can't do that now because you only got three members. You've got to put somebody on that board without a recommendation.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I was
Just so they can meet. They can't meet right now. They can't call a meeting. If they do, they're violating the Open Meetings Act.
right. Well, that's why I thought about the appointing one person and then letting them have some input into the remaining people.
But Councilman Myers' question to me was, can the council do it? The council absolutely can. You can appoint all three members if you chose to do so tonight. But I understand the concern that you want the EDC to feel, the P and Z to feel like it has its normal prerogative in recommending its members. And that's fine, but they can't do that now with only three members.
Right, and that's really my whole purpose of this particular line item on the agenda. Because I want them selecting and creating their own committee on their advice. I don't want to do it all ourselves, because then it looks like I don't want them to feel unneeded or anything like that. So that's the way I'd like to do it. Does anybody have any problem with it? And how do you want to handle it?
I like the idea. I just want to make sure that Jim understood what Leon was asking. Leon was asking if the council could approve, say if we do put one on the board tonight, and then the council, can we pre-approve the other two? That way, whenever EDC meets, that they can just place them on, the P and Z meets, that they can place those that we already said that it's okay for them to be on there. Or would they have to come back to council?
I think it's got to come back to council. If you pre-approve them, you put them on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, you ultimately have the ability to appoint to that board. So if you pre-approve them, you do that. You look at them out there in the audience and say, when you come back, we're going to vote for you.
I think to Leon's point, it's a double-edged sword, because right now we're already in a vulnerable state where we don't even have enough people to meet. So if we only place one tonight, then yes, we have enough for a quorum, but we're still kind of limiting these group of people. We're still putting a limit on them, because now they've got to meet. then they've got to say, okay, well, we want to put these other 2 people on, and we're dragging them out another month for progress.
And then
And P and Z is one of those committees that typically functions with alternates, because you've got to get enough people to at a meeting, and sometimes
Exactly.
you have trouble. You have alternates, you can have, 7 members and 2 or 3 alternates, just so you know you can always get a quorum.
Is there anything that's coming up
I don't
that
know
needs to be
anything.
approved? or anything?
We don't have anything coming for planning and zoning at the moment, but I mean,
But
I
we've got
think-
some active developers in town, and we don't know when they're gonna have something.
right, they could pop in tomorrow.
Yes.
I mean, and Mayor, I agree with you 100%, but then I look at the other side of this is one of those double-edged sword things in my eyes, that right now we already have a panel of people that there's not enough there. If we place one more there, then there's enough for a quorum, but then it's just like we're kind of dragging it out. I mean, it's like one of those things, rip the Band-Aid off. And go.
It was just a thought that I wanted to share with everybody and looking outside.
And I agree with you. I agree with you. And at the end of the day, it's fine. And we're out there wherever we're at. I mean, I'm like you. I don't want people thinking that we're trying to dictate anything going on around here.
Right.
But
That's
then
how we got
again,
where we're at
if we've
today.
got great people that are willing, but if we got great people that are willing to volunteer in our community, then let's let them volunteer.
That's what I
That's the
think.
way I look at it. If people want to volunteer in our community, the door's always open. Anybody out there that wants to come volunteer, come volunteer. If you don't want to volunteer, that's fine, stay home.
And we can.
That's still gonna leave a vacancy on P and Z, and that can be filled in the normal way.
Yeah.
Or years.
Say that, Jim.
I said, you're still gonna have a vacancy on P and Z, so even to fill that vacancy going forward, you can do it the normal way.
Yeah.
You've got 3 people sitting out there that want to be on P and Z. That's kind of unusual. It's more typical to see a group of people wanting to get off than it is to have a whole group.
Please don't let that scare you.
Well, how about we do this then? Let's hear a little bit from
Yeah,
them.
let's
Let's hear-
hear from them. 'Cause I've met some of you guys and I haven't met some of you guys, so, and I'm sure as well some of the other people here on the council.
Sharon, you want to start off?
Sure.
We've got your application in here. I know that it is, and I read over it, but
Okay.
it's just messed.
My name's Sharon Cunningham. I have lived in Texas since 1979. I was born and raised in Oklahoma in a small town. So living in a small town is something I'm very familiar with.
Yeah.
What part of Oklahoma?
I grew up in a town of about 7,000 people called Seminole, which is
Oh,
where the
yeah.
oil boom started back in about 1929. My father had a construction company, so I grew up around the construction business. I am an industrial engineer. I graduated from the University of Oklahoma, and I root for the University of Texas, except when they're playing the University of Oklahoma. And so-
I like that you're honest.
I am what I am, but an industrial engineer is a process engineer. I got retired during the pandemic, but I was planning on retiring anyway. An industrial engineer, and in my career, they do a lot of different things, but I focused my career on, for the corporations that I work for, improving and designing processes. Okay.
That's where the Six Sigma comes in.
Yes.
Know all about it.
I spent the first 5 years of my career working for Procter and Gamble. I spent the next 15 years of my career working for 3 different financial institutions, the IT divisions, again, designing processes. And I also managed all sorts of different groups, change control, problem management, problem control, standards and development. I worked with every auditor that the financial institutions came in. I was the audit liaison. I decided I want to get out of IT right before Y2K. Because I said, that'd be a great time to change careers. I went to work for the General Electric Corporation, which is where I got my Six Sigma certification. And I spent the next 11 years with GE, 3 different GE businesses. I took an early retirement from the 3rd GE business right about the time I was 55. and went back to work like the next week. And spent a year in logistics. And then I spent the last 7 years of my career with the Hertz Corporation, the car rental people, which is why suddenly when the pandemic happened and 75% of their business went away in 1 week, they decided perhaps it was time for me to retire, and I agreed. So in addition to all of that, my husband and I and Bob and Nancy Dodson have owned a business here in Tawakoni since 1997, Anchorland Marina.
Okay, good.
Since I was pretty busy being an engineer for those various corporations, I am the corporate secretary of the corporation, that Anchorland Marina is a corporation. But I didn't take an active role in the day-to-day business up until the pandemic. And it occurred to me, oh my God, perhaps I need to at least know how to run the cash register and work in the office, because somebody might get sick, or God help us die. And, so I have been very involved in the business for the last, God, I can't believe it's been 2 years. This is not the retirement I had planned for myself. You might wonder, why am I asking to be on the planning and zoning? One of the things I had envisioned for my retirement pre-pandemic was that I would do some volunteer work. But before I went to work for GE, I was on the board of directors for the Science Museum in Dallas. I spent 7 years as a board member there. I also spent 7 years as a board member for the Senior Adult Services of Addison Capel, Farmers Branch, and Carrollton, thank you. And I have been on different boards for the University of Oklahoma College of Engineering, and it's still, that's the only one I still have been somewhat active in for the last 10 years.
So you
Because I
go
just
back,
traveled
you go
so-
back and you're familiar with W. Edward Deming then?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what industrial
There's
engineers,
not many people.
absolutely. I mean,
I'll follow him well.
yes, industrial engineers make things faster, better, or cheaper. At least one of those three, and if you can get 2 or 3 at the same time, that's great. And in 40 years of work, I've had 2 projects where I hit all 3.
Oh,
Wow.
impressive.
But anyway, you know what, we've lived full-time in Tawakoni for what, the last 12 years?
Oh, wow, okay.
Sold our house in Rowlett. When Dave retired, he wanted to spend time out here, and our house in Rowlett became a really expensive storage closet. Pay taxes on, because he was spending all his time out here, and I was spending most of my time out here when I quit working. So we sold the house and moved out here permanently for 12 years.
Okay,
So that's me.
okay.
Very good. Thank you.
We're
Thank you.
impressed, yeah.
Thank you.
William Byers?
Myers.
Kind of made an
Thank you for the
assumption.
butler.
Butler.
Yeah, you wrote me Mr. Butler this morning.
Oh, I'm
that's
sorry.
It's better than what she calls it.
Well, actually, well, Brett Williams.
Rick Butler, that's what
Yeah.
I mean.
That's right, yeah, that's what got me too.
Oh, it's
Some
been a
say it's a
bad
Texan
day.
name, I'm not sure if it's true, but. My
Just
name-
don't
my
tell
name
you
is
that
Brett
yourself.
Myers. I'm 55 years old. I also grew up in a very small town, one very, very similar to this, right on the lake, called Clear Lake in Northern California, getting towards Oregon. And but that was a long, long time ago. Left when I was 17, joined the Marines. After the Marines, I also accidentally got tied into tech, IT, and where I worked for Intel Corporation for 13 years. Mostly as a network engineer, as our previous presentation, did a lot of different types of engineering, a lot of point-to-point stuff when it was first coming out. Going through my own adventures, just moving into a house that I moved into 2 months ago, where I met Pam, who's my next door neighbor. And she saw my first week, the whole HVAC system getting ripped out and all kinds of new projects going on in the house, which is kind of good timing because I've been out of the States for 12 years. I've been living in Costa Rica, where I have a son and daughter. I moved back to the States mostly because of, well, for VA medical. I've got some I'm 100% disabled Marine, and I was having some complications that properly treated down in Costa Rica, so we decided that, and it's also because my son's graduating this year, and it's time to go to college, and we figured it's all the right time anyways. And I was sitting there petting Pam's dogs one day, and she come up and talked to me, and I was telling her, I said, well, yeah, I don't got a job yet. I'm not too really looking forward to going out and finding one just yet. Besides, I have this whole house I have to finish. But I've always done service work. I've been in service work ever since I can remember. And I've always done something. And off the top of my head, of course, it was that I wanted to do that boyhood dream of going out and be a firefighter, but I figured, okay, I'd probably get a little too old, and maybe not. But she said, you know what, we have this other thing where they need help so bad. Well, you got me there. That's where they really need help. And actually, the more I thought about it, zoning and planning, I'm like going, you know, I've actually always been really interested in how they came about making a proper decision in that area. Even to the point where I probably spent 5 hours Googling all about it, and I'm more confused now than when I started. But other than that, I've also worked as addictions counselor, life coach, nutritionist, physical trainer, restaurant owner, hotel owner, lots of different things. And I'm just speaking to my last boss just this morning, and he asked me this morning, he says, what are you doing for work? I said, nothing yet. He says, well, do you know what you want to be when you grow up? And I said, no, Brian, I still don't. So, but when I figure it out and I need a recommendation, I'll be more than happy to give you a call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Bill, all of those people know you.
Yeah, I think
You
y'all
wanna-
do.
you wanna give us
Don't let
a
that stand.
All right, Bill Creed, a little older than him, and I'm 5 ago. Not telling my age. And let's say I've owned a computer store for 20 years. I've been in West Walkeny longer than she has. And I'm just pointing out the facts. I've seen, I've been on a couple of boards and stuff and some committees. And I think the city's really going in the right direction now compared to how it has been going, and that says a lot about you. I'm not bothering you up, but I don't really care if I get the plan and zoning deal anyway. I'm just saying you're doing a good job. All right, everybody good with that?
Yeah, real good. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, because I've seen a lot of people come and go up here, sitting up on that council. But anyway, so let's see, what else about me?
You're on the ARB, are you still on the ARB?
Yeah, I'm still on the ARB board.
So make sure everybody understands what that is. I remember that you did it a few years ago or whatever.
Yeah, two years.
It's the appraisal review board. Is that right?
Appraisal review board. Yeah. Basically, we just,
For the county, correct?
yes,
Right.
they will set your, what they think your property's worth, and then you come to the ARB if you disagree with it, and we listen to both sides and make a decision. And that's a pretty good board. As a commander of the American Legion, we've done a lot of good work on the outside, if y'all couldn't tell. If anybody was here back before then,
Oh, yeah, that's great.
it looks way different. But anyway, I guess that's about it. I ain't a rocket scientist like her. I never wanted to be, I didn't want to be a fireman like him either. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, guys. We've heard from the 3 candidates. Chair would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept all 3 candidates for planning and zoning. Bill Creed, Sharon Cunningham, and Rhett William Byers.
Would you go by Red?
I do.
Okay.
I second it.
Robin first, Leon second, all in favor.
Kevin Featherston,
Yeah, I'm not.
Pam Reed, Robin Myers.
Chris Burkett.
Thank you guys looking forward. If I can do anything for you, everybody's got my phone. I don't know if I have a card with me, but I give my phone number out to everybody. And I can be called day, nights, weekends, whatever. I'm always available. And I do take late night calls. I mean, so I want you guys to have my number so you can get hold of me anytime you need me.
Well, I guess my first
That's about
question would
4
be,
o'clock.
is there kind of a like role and responsibility guideline for the?
No, well, I think what we're gonna do, the gentleman that was here with Bureau Veritas with the black shirt on, he works with somebody else. This Bureau Veritas, I don't know how big they are, but they only hire people with 20 and 30 years experience in their field. These people are experts. This guy that was standing up here talking, when West Texas blew up, do you remember that? When the whole city blew up?
The city of West.
The whole city.
Yes, I remember.
He was, the state came to him to coordinate the efforts that went on the ground. This guy is very knowledgeable. Everybody that works with him, he's not, I don't think he's the boss. He's not the main guy, but he's one of the leaders. And everybody we have has a different profession. There's one guy that does, he's the planning and zoning professional. And this guy's been doing it for 30 years. He knows all about it. My intent is to get them down. Now, both y'all are retired, right? I know Bill, I'm trying to think in my mind, we could even do it during the day, have them come over and give a planning and zoning 101. And then that would help you understand where we're going, because we have the zoning in place, but you'll learn about variances at another time. I'm not gonna get into that. I'm not real big on variances. Variances, our predecessors set the standard for the way they wanted the city to look. And a variance would be us going back and saying, no, predecessor, we don't care what you like and what you wanted then. We're gonna do it our way now. And I don't like them. I like variances, so.
They were used for wants rather than.
You were exactly one.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Go to maybe some others from upstairs.
That might not be a bad idea. You can go to YouTube and YouTube planning and zoning stuff and get hours and hours worth of knowledge.
I did.
Huh?
I did. and That was the
Okay.
problem. I got such a diversion, way different people.
It's very
handled it,
broad.
way They brought in different experts. and
Yeah.
utilized them, so there's a vast array. of
Well,
ways
I'm
to
gonna,
do it.
once we get that board fully staffed, my intention is to get this guy out here to spend a few hours or something to give you the lowdown. Because right now, he's acclimating to our, we gave him a copy of our zoning and everything. Didn't we give him a copy of all that?
Yes.
He hasn't got all of it yet.
Okay.
But wouldn't it be a good idea for the other members to?
Oh, yeah.
Meet with
Oh, yeah.
him as well,
Everybody.
because I was told a couple of the new members on there, they, were not familiar with.
Oh, no, I'm speaking of the whole, and actually, the council too.
So I think some of the council would be interested.
Yeah, I think that it'd be good for the council, for all of us to know. So
It would be a good,
we,
to use a corporate speak, it would be a good team building exercise.
yeah.
Those are the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Anyway, we're glad to have you. We're moving on with the agenda, so we're an hour and a half out here. If y'all want to hang around, you're more than welcome, or let me go ahead and give Mr. Rankin, real quick, give him just a few minutes. This is,
Mayor, 2 minutes, that's all I need.
2 minutes, okay. This is Clay Rankin. He's running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 4. And he wanted just a few minutes of our time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, and the citizens of West Waukene. I've been walking the district since November when I announced, and I've met a number of people within that district as I'm knocking on doors, trying to introduce myself to as many folks as I can. Now, in the precinct, it's been about 1,200 people, but you can only imagine how difficult it is to meet everyone and introduce yourself to everyone. Yet I believe that the voters have a right to know who is running, so they have an opportunity to research it themselves before they get into the polling booth and try to make a decision on two different people. But my name is Clay Rankin. I'm a Republican candidate for Justice of the Peace for our community. It's probably more important to understand that I'm a bondservant of Christ. I spent my entire life serving God by serving others. And we're going to get into that a little bit. I have a master's degree in criminal justice from the University of Colorado. I have over 3 decades of expertise in the legal field. That includes the military justice field, the federal justice field, federal regulations field, state, local, every court, every section, criminal, civil, it doesn't matter. I have a lot of experience in those areas. I'm a retired U.S. Army military police officer after 25 years and 2 wars.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. I'm also a retired civilian law enforcement officer. And that's kind of funny when you put that word retired before something. God's never allowed me to retire from anything. You know, I was beat up physically and the police departments no longer wanted me, and therefore I was retired. Air quotes, right? So what he did is took me from that, and I ended up spending 15 years of the next 15 years of my life as a criminal investigator, doing criminal cases, running my own private investigation company. You know, currently I volunteer with Texas Baptist Men Disaster Relief. I'm the state coordinator of their asset protection unit, and we deploy all over, continuing to serve this community and others. Now, I spent my entire adult life serving our country, our state, and our community. And I am now asking our community to trust me and to elect me to continue serving them as their justice of the peace. The oath I committed to at the age of 18 when I enlisted in the Army is that I swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Now, I've always maintained this commitment. I've maintained this commitment to the people of this country, the people of this community, and I will faithfully continue to do so. So I'm asking that you vote for me as your justice of the peace. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, one other thing, Mr. Mayor, at the bottom of that card on the front where my photo is, you're going to see a phone number.
Yeah.
That is my cell phone number.
Okay.
I've been giving it to everybody. You're more than welcome to call me. If you guys have any questions, please call me.
And how long have you been living in Hunt County now?
Let's see, Hunt County. We moved from Margaret Street, which was right on the border of Rockwall, out into the country in Hunt. In June of 2000, I want to say 14. It was either 14 or 15, I can't remember which. Been in Texas since 2010. But one thing I've realized about being invited by Texans to move to Texas. Texas isn't about being born here or being from here. It's about an indelible spirit of independence and freedom. That's something I have fought for my entire life and will continue to do so. It doesn't matter where I'm at or who I'm doing it for. The entire country always benefits from what I do.
I've retired Army too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, he is getting around because he came to my house.
I wonder if
It
you
took
want
me
to
a
knock
minute
on
before I
that.
figured it out.
That's all I know.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, sir. That's very impressive. And I hope you get your Facebook page out so we can.
Oh, it's out.
Roll it out.
Oh, absolutely. It's out.
If we can move along, item D is discuss and or take action on city Facebook page. I want to put it on there, there's pros and cons. We haven't visited this thing in a long time. I'm getting a lot of comments about it. I've been told that if you do have a Facebook page, you can't just eliminate commenting. So I don't know, do y'all have any, I mean, y'all even want to talk about it or?
Nope.
What do y'all, I mean,
Sorry, but what's the problem?
Facebook,
Well, okay, I understand Facebook as in general has a problem, but what is the problem with it?
We
I mean, I guess we need to have a discussion about it or let something happen, but, I mean, my thing is, it's on there, it's something everybody wants, but
the only reason,
I'll be honest with you, it doesn't seem like we can't get people to act right, so personally, I don't wanna see it, because why does anybody need anything else to look at that's negative? I mean, that's the way, That's the way I look at it. I get, and I'm frustrated too, just like some of the citizens are, that we can't get our information out there, but we're working on that. We're working on getting our website up, completely overhauled, somebody new, something new. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, once our website is up and going and it's new, if we can't depend on that, then maybe we'll have to do something like this to get our information out. But that's the biggest gripe that I see or hear is, if y'all had a Facebook page, well, you know what? I get it, but sometimes people can't act grown up. And you have to read a bunch of stuff out there. So who wants to take that time to read that stuff? So if we get a web page up and our web page works good, we should be able to get enough information out for people and we won't need Facebook.
Fair enough.
I have something to say about that.
What's that?
Just kind of piggyback off what you just said. I've been watching that Facebook page, the website, since Danny came on board, and she is slowly but surely getting us up to speed. I noticed the agendas are getting, some of the agendas are getting posted. It
Not
looks
yet.
like.
She's not doing it yet.
Oh, she's not. Oh, okay. Well, it looks better. Let me put it to you that way, because I look, there's agendas on there. There are minutes on there that have been posted on there that should be. There's also, I noticed that there was a blurb on there about the impending storm that was coming, which, thank you, Annette, for doing that. So I think we need to give it a little more time. I think we're just not there yet. And as far as the Facebook thing goes, I spent 3 hours on the computer today, looking up statutes, cases where cities have been sued over the freedom of speech things. And I will tell you, of most of those cases that were presented to the state, the cities lost.
Well,
and it cost them a lot of money.
Something.
And
I mean-
so, and I don't want to say we need to quell people's freedom to say what they want to. You should have that right. Absolutely. You are entitled to that.
Right.
And another thing, who's going to manage a Facebook page for us?
And that's what I was gonna say.
Who's going to do that?
I don't
These
wanna,
folks don't have time
I don't
do
wanna
that.
say that it won't be a good thing for the city of
I
West
don't
Walker
either.
one day to have a Facebook.
Right.
Hang on. I'm sorry, Jim.
I didn't say, I was just drinking water. I didn't
But
say
but at the end of
just
the day,
being
the
noisy.
point you just made, at this moment in time right now, this city does not have the personnel in place to properly manage something like this. To keep, it may be a great tool for us one day, it may be, but right now is not the time. We're doing a lot of work, and Annette and Kim and Michael and John can attest to these things. This city is doing a lot of work that is, quite honestly, it's behind these doors that are trying to get some processes and procedures and things in place that, we can't even all see it as the council, the mayor, myself, and the employees. They can't even see the fruits of these labors yet, but I'm telling you, it's coming. So everybody needs to put their seatbelt on. There's going to be change in West Walkeny, and it's not going to need a Facebook page to do it.
Yeah, and that's why I touched on the part about the wagon wheel. There's a lot of things out there that we just can't talk about. It's stuff that every citizen here would love to hear it, but it's just too premature yet. And that's what he's talking about. It's coming. There are changes coming. And I just wish I could share them, but it's gonna have to be one of those things that will, the people will see when we get to that point, but.
They don't have anything for it, then no action is
Yeah.
taken.
Move.
So,
So.
now, citizens input non-related items.
That, the only thing I had was, Mr. Rankin. And-
Oh, okay,
and
okay,
moved him
okay.
up.
Well, I didn't want to keep you all night. I should have put him up, moved him up too.
Anybody else have anything?
Anybody else have anything? Then the chair would entertain a motion. I'm sorry, Carla, I wasn't looking.
I do. I would like to take just a moment to thank each and every one of you guys. I know y'all have worked diligently and thoroughly behind the closed doors of your own homes. And you have come out to do such a great thing on a volunteer basis. And then you guys go home and you want to check up on your family and you get on Facebook and then all junk has come across. I want to ask each and every one of y'all to forget that Facebook exists. Forget it. It is there for childish and vindictive and evil. I'm asking you to rise above it. But I want to first and foremost thank each and every one of you, and thank you very much. Have a great night.
Thank you. I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Hold on a moment. Sir, you came in kind of at the end. You look familiar. Why do I know you?
How are you?
Why do I know you?
He's been up here with us before.
Oh, has he? Is there something you wanted to input or?
Oh, you just come to hang
You
out.
just come to hang out?
I'm just going to take some time off from the wife.
Oh, I'm calling her now.
Just went out.
It's live.
Okay.
What's his name?
Yeah, just one quick question on the Facebook page, and I do not use social networks. I have 30 years of technology and I stay far away from them. But why don't you just turn off the comments?
That's what they say. You just can't turn them off for every page. You have to turn them off every post that you made. If you post something on there, the comments are there. Then you go in and turn off comments.
Yeah, but every time it's a post, I think, well, again, I've been there a long time.
Everyone, they have to be turned off.
And sir, any comments that are made on a Facebook page to a governmental entity has to be stored. It has to be kept. We don't have any, where are we gonna do this? We don't have anybody to manage the page. We don't have anybody that wants to step up and be the admin to the page. It's just really kind of a dog chasing its tail. is what it is.
What we do have in
Soon it might
place,
be different.
what we do have in place is something we're underutilizing. It's called IRIS. Don't ask me if it's an acronym, but it's a reverse 911, basically. For any storms that are coming, tornadoes, for any oil notices that get sent out, for if we have to shut down a water line to do work, we can put it on this IRIS and it'll reverse call you or text you and say, hey, there's a problem here. That way everybody knows what's going on. Well, there's only 200 something people out of 1,800 using it. So I want to start really pushing that. That would be a great avenue for people to hear about something going on in the city. Last year during the snowbid, we went live via Facebook and they just loved it. And we've done a couple others since then with the town hall and everything, but we need something on a daily basis that can get out to the citizens and inform them of a sewer or a water line break. We're gonna cut your water off for 4 to 5 hours to get it repaired. I mean, they have no way. So they get, that's right. He gets it thrown in his face, public works director, but we need to start utilizing the hours too. You come up here to the water truck window, you just let them know you wanna be a part of IRIS. And they'll get you signed up for it. Huh?
No, I think I'm good for now. I'm just trying to figure out the PNT. But I was just wondering why. Again, it's been years since I've been on Facebook. My wife hates the fact that I never go on there. But it just seems like you can put informational topics out there and just leave that topic without the ability to reply to that topic.
You can, but each individual post has to be turned physically off, and which is okay.
Yeah.
But as Robin was saying, that information has to be stored because if someone comes in and requests information, it has to be able to be handed back out. So there's the process. that is-
I got a motion
Yes.
from Kevin to adjourn.
Yes.
Ma'am,
So
seconded.
right now they don't-
All in favor?
Leon, I.
And we are adjourned.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you, Jim. See you later.
Good night.
What thing did you want to talk
was a short one for you.
Just get away from the light.
Yeah, because from there, it's like this committee, our precinct level, you have legislative priorities, right? You get them to the precinct level, they have their precinct convention, and they go to the county. And they take those legislative priorities.
Chris and I, we had a conversation a few days back.
About what you guys.